Success Talk. This is the Smart Talk series with my dear friends and co-host right here, none other than Mark Hayes, who is a former Fox News anchor. Yes, he is. Say hello, Mark. Yay. And he's the founder of Mark Hayes Consulting. And Melissa Carter is a radio show personality. And if you're in the Atlanta area, you know Melissa Carter, that is for sure, as well as Mark. So I'm so excited to have you both here as my co-hosts for this new series, Smart Talk, that has come out of this COVID craziness. Welcome to the show.
Yes, and if you're new here and you don't know Aurea, well, you should, because Miss Aurea McGarry is here, our host, and who brought us together. She is an Emmy award-winning television host, as you can see from her Emmy back there, very well lit. And also just to plug, you know, I met her not only through some speeches that we've done together, but also Live Your Legacy Summit, which she has every year, which is a fantastic opportunity for women.
It's amazing.
So, yes, you too. Absolutely. Both of you have been my speakers for that.
Yes. So
thank you.
So Aurea, a ray of sunshine, is always trying to make your life better. So thanks for letting us be here, and I'm glad everybody's here.
Me too. Thank you. Well, the three of us, we have just been such good friends for so long, and we have the same passion and heart to help and give tools of success to help people through not just this COVID and, you know, post-pandemic and post-quarantine, but all three of us have always had a nose for news and for great journalism and great conversation to help you all navigate through whatever it is you're going through. And this particular series is going to help you get some tools on success, whether it's business success, life success, motherhood, fatherhood success. It'll all be good for you to tune in to get things you need in this day and age. So today we're going to talk about some fun things as well as some money-making things. The first thing we're going to talk about is binge-worthy TV, but then we're going to go into how to earn money. So earning money and some new hobbies and interests that have become money makers during the quarantine. But let's start with something fun. Binge TV. Every one of us, we love TV.
Well, and I also want to plug too, one thing I didn't mention about Aurea is all, you know, amongst the many things she does, but she's also on the board of the Southeast Emmys, right? And that's coming up. And so
which is happening now.
Yeah, I think this is very appropriate. And Mark himself has been involved with the Southeastern Emmys. I've done radio, so I have not been involved with the Emmys. But
you need to be on TV, Melissa. And Mark's the nominee. Mark, was your Emmy nomination, Mark, for the Southeast? I know you were in other cities.
No, I got one in Dallas and one in Michigan.
So two-time Emmy nominee. That's awesome.
Two-time Emmy nominee, always the bride. Well, bridesmaid, never the bride.
That's right. Yeah, it's not
I'm gonna
over
win one
yet.
of these things at some point. Yeah,
It's not over.
I haven't been a bride yet.
Well, we're excited because on September 12th, for the first time, our Southeast Emmys is going to be broadcast virtually. I mean, we've always had the wonderful gala. We have it here at the Hyatt Regency here in Atlanta, but this year it's all going to be pre-recorded, online, virtual, and an exciting experience for everyone. So in honor for that, we're going to go over some of our must-see TV. They don't necessarily have to be local, but we know there's a lot that people are talking about that we've all heard about. You know, everybody, the Tiger King, but don't get me started on that. I'm such an animal lover, and that was, it was a traffic jam, auto crash. You can't stop watching, but I was going to say,
look, Mark, did you notice how Aurea was trying to use proper words and not offend anybody? I appreciate the effort you just make, as all kinds of bad words came in my head as I too would watch that. But yes, congratulations, Aurea, for making it through that without a cuss word.
You're welcome.
Yeah, she's the first person I heard talk about the Tiger King without cussing. So really? That right there is talent.
That's why she has an Emmy, Mark. That's why she has an Emmy.
I'm family friendly. What can I say? I say, oh my goodness. But anyway, but you know, it's funny. I won my Emmy for being hugged by tigers and kissed by bears and monkeys. I won mine with at the Noah's Ark Zoo. Animals are my love and my passion. But it was one of those car crashes that everybody was talking about. And what the heck is this? So I started to watch. Then you can't stop watching, and I'm hating it as I'm watching it. It was the most craziest feeling I've ever had. And I had to watch to the end, like I thought I was going to feel better once it ended, and I didn't.
Well, when you tell people about you watching, you start the sentence with, well, normally I wouldn't watch something like this. However, and then you start talking about it. Yes.
It shows the power of conversation, the power of social media. It's like, what? Yeah. And I started seeing memes. I'm like, and it got me because of tigers. I'm like, oh, tigers. I had no idea what I was in for. But
oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Mark and Melissa, you start with some of the really good
Think about all the marketing experts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal marketing.
I enjoyed speaking of Georgia, yes. And I enjoyed so much Ozark, which was
Yes, it's
shot
on my
locally
list.
here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It was so dark, but so enthralling. Like you just got sucked in.
And it's filmed right here on
And we
Lake
were over
Lanier.
here watching it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Like,
And
if you're
we were
local.
sitting here watching it where it became like an issue here because my mom would come over with my brother, right? They don't have the Netflix thingy on their TV.
The little Netflix
So they would
thingy.
come over here
Right.
and start watching it like without me. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You come over to my house.
That's rude.
You turn on the Netflix situation and start binge watching without me when I waited for you guys. I had the discipline.
We have the same
for the next episode for them to come back over.
We have the same thing in our house. There's
Yeah.
certain shows we can watch, me and Brian by ourselves, and we don't care. And if we hop in and watch one or two of that, we're fine. But there's those shows we do not watch without each other. It's like we're at the same spot because we like to have conversation. Ozark was one of them. And boy, the ending of this last season, just watch it. It's really good. It's really well done. I loved it.
Yeah.
Really good.
I couldn't get my wife into it. My wife wouldn't bite.
No.
Really? We
can bite on Tiger King. She can bite on Ozark.
Exactly. Like I do think you have to reflect on what you are binging and why. And yes, if you can watch Tiger King, you can watch Ozark. But it's very much just one last thought on it because it's filmed locally. You should support it. But also, as the viewer, you're caught up in it just like he was caught up in it from the beginning of the show. Like he started in on this really fast ride, from one incident. And you're the same way. Like you're just caught up in this river of the show, and it's you keep for the ride.
And on that one, Melissa, too, if you're talking about like Ozark and the storyline, for one thing, when I binge watch, it's always late at night after my full day. I like to binge watch at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. Tell me when you like to binge watch. But on that, the Ozark was about how one small wrong decision or not too smart decision, and we'll get to not so smart decisions at the end of this show too, can snowball to another one. Yeah. And the same thing happened in Breaking Bad, which Brian got me hooked on Breaking Bad. I'm thinking, not my kind of show, but he told me, somebody else told me about it. Same thing, a well-meaning father makes one bad decision thinking to make some money, and then it snowballs and snowballs. And before you know it, I mean, we're on this journey like, that could, and I like shows that could be realistic. Mark, we know what can happen when you make one bad decision and then it can snowball and then it gets out of control. You know, so it was really good. So Breaking Bad's another one of those. But when do you guys like to binge watch? And Melissa, give us some of yours.
Well, I am a big history buff. I love history. And so if you are a nerd like me, there is something on Amazon Prime called The Men Who Built America. Really? And I think in when you're in history class, you learn about these people individually, but The Men Who Built America is some of our most prominent businessmen that were contemporaries. And I honestly didn't realize they were contemporaries. And so the turn of the 20th century was incredibly important for our country. And so this shows just a handful of men shaped what America became here in the past 100 years. And
what about the women? Excuse me.
I know, I'm with you, but The Man Who Built America, unfortunately, lives up to its title. And also the Great British Baking Show. Like I love that show. It is, you can find it on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a BBC show, but they, have it here in America on Netflix. And the Great British Baking Show. I mean, even if you don't bake, don't cook, don't care about it.
I love to bake.
It's a competition show with some great people, and it's British humor. So I just think
Monty Python.
Yeah. And two more things. I have a whole list. I've got Dairy Girls, which you can also find on Netflix. That is a show from Ireland, and it's a comedy, and it's hilarious about teenage girls in private school.
Oh, fun.
Sex Education. Sex Education is about high school kids. It's an English show. It has Gillian Anderson from X-Files. It's fantastic.
You like the English shows? Interesting.
I do, but I do have an American show called Virgin River, also on Netflix.
I've heard of half of these. This is great. We'll write them in the description too, so we'll have them.
And Virgin River is about a woman who who leaves her career in a big city as a medical professional and goes to a small town to practice. And so, and it's really interesting about small town versus big city. So Virgin River is another, it's more soap opera-y if you like that kind of thing. So
I'm so glad you turned us on to some new things, because
Yeah.
we all kind of like the same old things that get all the buzz. So I try to do that and get some of the ones that maybe aren't quite so buzzworthy. But Melissa, I know Marco, I want to hear about yours in a second too. But Melissa, when you're going back to your first one, The Men Who Built America, I have to tell you a joke. Of course, my joke's always clean.
Yeah, of course, yes. She doesn't cuss, as you can already tell.
Well, I do, but not in public. What's behind what's behind every successful man?
I would think a woman, right?
A surprised mother-in-law.
And you can steal our jokes.
Because you can tell them anywhere.
I know, right?
I just thought that was so good. Your mom says, he's never going to amount to anything. And then if they do, surprise.
But I will say that you made a great point, because Aurea and I, and Mark as well, all work for women's rights. And, it's an interesting show, because I do think the men that are highlighted in the show should be highlighted, because I do think these men were brilliant in what they did.
Oh, of course.
But you're right. I think that the problem we have, and what we'll, hopefully
another 30 years,
is that women need to tell their stories. It's not just about men reporting women's stories. It's women need to get out there, get their voices out, and tell your own story, so that you are heard as well. And I've got a woman we'll talk about here in a few minutes.
Yes, we will, for sure.
Attention.
And I think even another 10, 20, 30 years, the next generation will be talking about a slew of women from this point on that are really even going to make it. Not we haven't had many, but you're right, the stories need to get out more for sure. But on the note of women making history, there's one show that I do love that, Melissa, you'll probably appreciate, because it's the English. It's The Crown.
Yes, that was on my list. Yes.
And Mark, have you heard of The Crown? You would love The Crown.
I have heard of The Crown.
Yes.
I haven't watched it yet. It's on my to-do list,
but
I have heard of it. Yes.
Aurea, you go ahead, because You go ahead and tell me what it's about.
Every once in a while, I like ones that are a little educational, but I love good acting, and I love good story, and I love true stories. And I take it all with a grain of salt, but I was reading up on it, because I do read up on things that are true stories, find out how, once I watch it, so I don't have any spoilers, to see how much is true, how close to reality is.
And they're pretty accurate. Really well.
Yeah,
they're pretty accurate.
What about it? I love
so it's the story of Queen Elizabeth, our current Queen Elizabeth, and it's and like you said, it's pretty accurate, the stories they tell, and they're so compelling. And each season has had different actors, even though that the current queen who plays the older queen is going to revise her role or reprise her role.
The first two seasons had the same young actress, because Queen Elizabeth was young. Then they had to switch her up to an older one.
And she's going to be in the 2 seasons. And so the upcoming season is going to include Margaret Thatcher, who again is played by Gillian Anderson, who I love, of course, from X-Files, if you don't recognize her name.
She's awesome.
And they also are going to include Lady Diana.
Yes, they are. It's going to get really good. But it was really good. I thought I'd wanted to see it because of, I love Princess Diana. But the first 3 seasons, really good. I mean, just phenomenal.
You appreciate her. I mean, I think people have people our age have mixed reactions to her because of Lady Diana, but I think that
she's so dutiful. She always put duty first, and her crown, which is because she's an oldest child, of 2. So having that oldest child, that responsibility, you always have the youngest child, which was her sister, that was always allowed to be crazy. And think about Prince Harry and Prince William, when the older one always has that, you have duty first. Your love life has to come, and all the things you want to do is not priority. And she always did that. I can't imagine living her life, but she
and you talk about a woman. Yeah, you talk about a woman in charge. So what I like about The Crown is it really talks about Prince Philip's irritation with not being in charge, and how they handled that, and how they stayed together through that. So it talks about male machismo attitudes, and how she took, once she got comfortable in her own skin, she really took control and put these men in their place. And so I think The Crown is an excellent show. A great recommendation.
Yeah. And having been to London,
he's her wingman, but he finally had to find his sweet spot too, of being, his role is just as important, just like a woman's a role for, let's say, first lady to president, whatever, is just as important, because without each other together, you're not as wonderful and as good as you can be, but you have to both settle into which position that is that you have, whether it's male or female.
You have to be mutually exclusive. So Mark, you're talking, I've never been to England either.
Me either.
Oh yeah, it's and having been there and seen, the pageantry, the pomp, the circumstance, just how and that air of formality and kind of regalness that they always exhibit everywhere, even in the pubs.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
even I mean, because you just associate the crown with that accent and you know, the formality. And you know, when you go there and you start visiting London Tower and Big Ben and you know, the Thames River and seeing everything that's Piccadilly Circus,
Piccadilly.
and all the Savile Row, and you start to want to know more about it. So I'm definitely going to have to binge that.
You'll absolutely
love
love
it.
It's so exciting, and I had so much fun in London. You know who we ran into?
We should all
at the
go
bar
together.
at the Mandarin Hotel?
Who did you?
We ran into Tom Jones. It's
Love
not
Tom Jones.
unusual to be loved by anyone. Yes.
Yeah, I love him.
Because we used to watch Tom Jones Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. And he comes in with this light blue, you know, leisure suit with the ruffled shirt, like total Tom Jones.
My mom.
And I took, you know, I'm looking over and I'm like, Tanya, look.
Did you get your picture? Did you get an autograph?
I did not, because it didn't feel natural. Like, you know, and if we had been in the U.S., I'd have done it.
Oh,
But
the
since
difference
we
would
were
be
in Europe, you know, I was like, yeah, you can't do that over here. You can't looky-loo over here.
that's who we differ. I'd be over there. Excuse me.
They'd be like, oh, that American. Oh God, another
Right.
American.
Right.
You only live once.
What was it? You remember that story when Queen Elizabeth came here? Who was the woman that hugged her? And of course, Queen Elizabeth was
and
just,
wasn't supposed, yes.
yeah, she was just as gracious
Just
as she could
yes.
be. But
Yes.
she,
Americans.
she was, and I thought, oh, yeah, I thought it was cool that she did that. But of course, it's those Americans, you know,
I
and
know.
sophisticated.
We
I
have no
remember that.
respect.
Yes.
No respect. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, that's a great remark. And I do love that. I used to think Queen Elizabeth was just some old prude, and you know, again with the Princess Diana stuff, and how just she poo-poos everything that's kind of like independent and free thinking. And it's really, there's so much more behind her. You know, this just was really, really good. And I learned a lot.
Well, yeah, and I look forward to this new season of The Crown, because I know they displayed this in a movie with Helen Mirren about her conflict with Lady Diana and all that happened. But I like the fact that her side of the story kind of comes out, because it really modernized her. She realized, I've got to change my ways, where she had been trained, just like Mark said, to be rigid and to be, don't show your emotions and don't respond and she ended up realizing that was a mistake. So I'm looking forward to that in this season.
Me too.
I gotta check that out.
Mark, give us a couple of yours. What couple of your favorites?
Okay. Yeah. So my wife turned me on to this football series on Amazon called All or Nothing. Right. Okay. She's watching this thing and I'm like, wait a minute, is that football? What are you watching? She's like, oh, All or Nothing. I'm on my second or third season. I was like, oh, really? You're just doing this without me? And it really is a great behind. You don't even have to love football to watch it. It's called All or Nothing. They've got a couple of great seasons on there. They've got the Panthers, the Eagles. Like, you see these big, ginormous football players running through their house, you know, playing laser tag or Nerf gun tag. And it is.
Is it like a reality show, or is it a
thing.
Scripted?
Yeah, it's like a docu-series where
Gotcha.
they just follow the players around during the course of a season.
That would be fun. I'd love that.
Guys are getting hurt. Like the owner of the Arizona Cardinals flies his plane to games. I mean, it's so, like, you know, of course you think an owner of an NFL team probably has a plane, but you don't think he flies it. You know, like, I think you could just get on and have a drink.
I
you know
love
what I mean?
behind the scenes
fruity
stuff.
drink. You know, but
Yeah, I do too.
It is great.
All or Nothing. All right,
And
I'm
then
gonna check that
another
out.
one, and then another football related one, but really gritty and really kind of punches you in the gut, is Last Chance U on Netflix. Again,
I have seen that.
you don't have yes,
I have
you don't
seen
have
that
to
one.
like football. It's great people stories, right?
Well, I'm gonna
there
check
was
it
one
out.
lady who just walked around the first season who she became famous for saying, "You got a pencil? Do you have a pencil, honey?" She would follow the players. "You have a pencil?" And she became known as, "Do you have a pencil?" Like,
Why did she need a
like
pencil?
30,000 Twitter followers.
Oh my
They
God.
were going to class, and she wanted to
These
make
are
sure the
college
kids were
students.
ready to go to class with they would come to her office. Yeah, they'd come, pick up a notebook, and then go to class. And you have a pencil? And she'd give them a pencil. But
How
you know,
fun.
these were kids who had been at the highest echelon of college football and stumbled. So they came to these different junior colleges, because I think there's 3 or 4 seasons out, and tried to rebuild their image and try to get back to a major college football program. And they've all got life going on. You know, the coach from Independence Community College in Kansas was not likable, right? But you watched anyway because it was like it became us against them.
Back to Tiger
with the
King.
kids
You watch it
versus
anyway.
coach.
It's a train
Exactly.
wreck, but it's
Yes.
watchable.
Yes.
Normally I wouldn't watch something like this. However,
Yes, yes, yes.
every show needs a
But
villain.
you wanted to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you started rooting for these kids.
Oh, that
And
sounds
you know,
great.
and the kids, and this last season, I don't want to spoil it, but
No, don't.
the current season that just came out, they had a young man who was actually working, going to school football time, playing full time, playing football, and living out of his car.
oh,
Wow.
And I'm telling you, if this series doesn't like jerk every single one of your heartstrings, nothing will.
How did you
And
find it?
it was trending on Netflix. I
Really?
said, oh, I
Funny
didn't know
you
there was
find the
another Last
football
Chance You
ones.
Out.
I know,
That's
right?
cool.
Yeah.
You found the football one, which I would never even stop
Yeah,
scrolling
but
for football. But I like things like The Blind Side, so it sounds like I'd like these. I like the
Yeah.
stories behind it,
Oh,
but
yeah.
not so much a sport.
Absolutely. But
Mark-
I did binge.
Okay.
I got hooked on Haves and Have Nots, Tyler Perry Studios,
Yes,
right down
heard of that.
there.
Haven't seen it. You
Oh my
like it?
God.
I've not seen. Is it great?
Oh, pulls you right in.
Really?
And
I would
and
listen.
again, yes. Again,
Anything to
it
do with
gets real
Tyler
dark.
Perry. Love Tyler Perry.
Yes.
Oh my God, love him.
And it
Well,
gets real
it's-
dark, but you stay
Yeah.
with it.
Well, that's the
Again.
thing, it's the same theme of like Upstairs, Downstairs back a long time ago.
I
and
remember.
and Downton
Yes.
Abbey, which that's
Mhm.
based on. So
Yes.
it's the people who you people you envy, and are they really enviable? I mean, to me, is what it ends up
Yes.
It's
being.
saying something
Yes.
about all of us.
Right, yeah.
Finding out a little bit too much about what makes us all tick. We like the
No
dark
doubt.
stuff. Oh my
Right.
God.
Normally, I wouldn't do that.
Normally we would watch
Maria.
that. Well, I know we're gonna move on to a little bit about what's making it financially in this quarantine time. But I just have a quick rapid fire list I'll give you guys of some that you should watch. And I'll put them all down in the comments. We can, if you have a comment, you're watching these, we can talk a little bit more about it too, because we'll just make everybody come back to the next episode to get the rest of this show too. Sorry, we'll have a couple of to be continued, so they'll have to come back. Here's a couple that I've watched that's kind of like a little I just love TV. I'm not a big reader. People say, have you read the book? I'm like, heck no, I'm waiting for the movie. That's just the way I am. I like the visual entertainment. But here's a couple that I'm finished. I just finished this one and I watched it backwards. And oh my gosh, I had no idea it was so relevant. Have you all seen The Good Fight with Christine?
No.
It's the
No.
sequel to The Good Wife.
Right.
I found The Good Fight, but it's only been started 3 years ago. It pulled me in because it's exactly what was happening in the news with the police and with George Floyd. And because this law firm combines a white woman with a black firm as lawyers, and they go against all the bad cops that are doing all these terrible arrests for the wrong reasons to these poor innocent black teens. And it's just pulled me in. And it was eerie how relevant 3 years ago them doing this, which means they were filming a year even before that.
Right.
It could have been the news right now. And I was watching it all during when the George Floyd thing was going on, and it sucked me in. It's really, really well done. It's called The Good Fight, and they are fighting that good fight that we're fighting right now.
Now, that's on CBS, or is that
yeah, CBS All
Access?
Access.
Okay.
But then I had to go back and watch The Good Wife, which is so good too. So I haven't finished that up yet, but really good. Just kind of, if you like things that are relevant, and it can be a little raw right now because we're all going through it, but it's well done, really good. And then we're talking about women. Nurse Jackie. If you haven't seen Nurse Jackie,
yes,
really good. A functioning addict. We had really good concepts and good storylines. Mark, have you ever heard of Nurse Jackie?
Yes, I have, but
Edie
I have not
Falco.
watched. I love Edie Falco.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
good.
from Sopranos.
It's really good.
And
So
if you
good.
want if you want kind of a little twisted comedy, anybody want twisted comedy? I had to get through the first one. There's a scene hard to watch once I got through it. It is the funniest, quirkiest. If you just want some something so funny you want to laugh out loud. Santa Clarita Diet.
Oh, I've heard of that, but it got canceled and a lot of people got mad about that.
I know, because it was so good, but the ending is great. It's still funny. I still loved it.
Okay.
You will laugh. Drew Barrymore, the husband that plays her husband, guy who plays her husband, and the daughter and the daughter's sidekick friend. So funny. You'll just belly. It starts out really stupid. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it'll just draw you in a fun way. If you just want to get your mind off of all the crap that's going on, you'll belly laugh. You'll belly laugh. And also,
I remember all the buzz online.
It's really funny. It's really cute. It's stupid, funny, cute.
People were hot.
Well,
really cute.
People were hot. And at first when I kept seeing it, I thought, what is this I thought it was a diet. So I thought, I don't care because I don't want to be a part of another diet.
And according to a place in California. And she eats people. It's funny, but she only eats bad people. And so it's so funny. But when she goes to eat that first finger, I'm like, but then I get kind of one of these. Those things. But Drew Barrymore is so good, and the casting was great. So it just kind of draws you in. Sometimes you're going to go like this, but it's still comedy. It's not like Walking Dead, which I do love too. It's not like that, but it's just so.
It reminds me of, what's the Broadway show? Gosh, and Johnny Depp did the movie version, and people are screaming at me. Sweeney Todd, thank you.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd is the same concept, kind of the same concept. Where yes, if you've never seen Sweeney Todd, that's a funny, gruesome show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you
Twisted
just want to belly laugh,
twisted comedy. That's right.
Yes, twisted. So again,
normally we wouldn't.
Normally, I wouldn't.
I have a feeling I'm normal. It's not normal. People go, who are these three people?
If I have to say that 5 times, then I'm lying, right?
So, in front of every TV show. Now, normally I wouldn't watch this one. This one, I absolutely would. And this one is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
I've heard so much about this. I've never seen it.
I'm telling you, you have to see it. Again, it's back in the 60s. I love the fashion, but I love the funniness of it, and it's so great. I can't remember the name of the woman who won the Emmy for it.
Yeah, she was from a comedy show. She's from Mad TV.
Mad TV, yes, and she's from Family Guy too, I think, because I don't watch Family Guy. But somebody said she's that voice. My daughter said that.
So if you ever watch Mad TV, she looked like a man. She looked like a man. She was that comedian.
All right, so you got to get some belly laugh. Those are 2 to get in. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel won't burst you out. It's just so funny. But if you're of our generation, you remember the 60s. And it reminds me, I was brought up in New York City. So I'm watching the fashions, but it's so funny and really loved it. Yeah. And on that note, there was one, if you haven't seen Mad Men, Good Girls is one I watched, and it has the actress in it, Christine Hendricks, and she was from Mad Men. So both Good Girls, which was on TV, is really cute, and Mad Men was something I watched not during this quarantine. I haven't watched all these during the quarantine. Watched it like a year or so ago. It was good as well. So, and if you haven't seen Scandal, it's time to binge watch Scandal. Oh my gosh.
That's a great one. Yes, that is well done. Very well done.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just amazing.
Yeah, that's some of the best TV we've had in the last 15, 20 years.
Yes.
Some of the best TV we've had.
And
Shonda Rhimes. Just look up Shonda Rhimes. Anything she's done. From Grey's Anatomy to How I Got Away with Murder.
Grey's Anatomy's still on.
I know.
Grey's Anatomy, her first one has still surpassed her others, right? How to Get Away with Murder and Scandal both are gone, but Grey's
Anatomy is still going, and I'm all caught up. During the quarantine, I got all caught up. And here's a tip. I know we're going to move on for a second, but if you have not seen Shonda Rhimes' TEDx or TED Talk, watch it, because it is so how her mind works and how she really talks about motherhood. She talks about juggling it all. And during this quarantine, it'd be very inspirational for anybody who's a parent or anybody who's just a human being to watch Shonda Rhimes' TED Talk. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. And if you like me happen to subscribe to the Masterclass app,
yes, me too.
Shonda has a great masterclass if you're somebody who's an aspiring writer. So
absolutely.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mark, are you part of the Masterclass?
Yes.
Masterclass.
Yes.
We should have a whole show on Masterclass.
Yeah.
Go to Masterclass.com.
Masterclass.com. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
it's
So
for
good.
some people. Again, I'm a geek and I like to learn new things, so it was worth the cost to me because in downtime I just randomly pick somebody's class. You don't have to watch the whole class all the way through. You can just get one segment. You know.
You've got Steve Martin. You've got I watch with Ron Howard. I watch all the things to do with TV and movie. Just pick what you like, and there's a master class for it, which is so cool.
Right.
Pro tip, ladies, you
Yes.
can write that off on your taxes. Professional development.
Education.
I'm just saying,
That's
because that's what I'm going to do.
Let me tell my accountant, are you watching?
That's right. Got it.
Yes,
But it's
indeed.
really good. It's really good. And of course, Melissa, Mark and I we're going to be TEDx speakers coming up, so that's
Yes, I'm so excited for that.
So we're excited.
Congratulations.
We'll have to connect you with Melissa because you were such a great speaker too. So
It's all right. It's okay. It's all right. You don't have to tag me along. I won't be. I am the youngest of three, so I don't have to be the one that has to go with the friends.
You're the youngest of three. I'm the youngest of three too.
So it's like, okay, my sister and brother are like, all right, do we have to take Melissa along? So it's okay. It's, I'm happy to watch your TEDx.
I'm the youngest of three, but I always had to be the center of attention. It's like, I want to go too. I want to go too.
Well, that's the reason we're
That's
in
my
media.
wife. That's my wife.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the reason we're in media. I mean, I just chose a career in which I get to talk to a lot of people and they have to sit and listen to me. So that is a product of being a baby for sure.
Well, the three of us obviously love TV. The Emmys are coming. Our Southeast Emmys is coming up in a couple days on September 12th. Obviously, we've taken up most of our time with talking about television, but I think it was worth it just to sit back and not have to solve all the world's problems and not have to think about how the three of us, Mark, you're working with your grandchild, Melissa and I are working with our kids with this homeschooling, which is starting right now. If you're watching this show, we're in August of 2020. And it's like, what the heck was that? If you're watching this several years later. And we're dealing with the stress and the newness of all that. So there's a lot going on with people, their jobs, their incomes, they're pivoting. There's a lot of good happening and just craziness. So we wanted to sit back and just enjoy some good mind-numbing TV or some educational TV too, which was great.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody's doing. I mean, I think at this point in the pandemic, especially if this is lasting until next year, because you see some companies, one in particular, and I'll think for a second, let me think. It was a company that said that their employees can stay at home until August of 2021. He's already given them the rest of the, another year at home. So there's a lot of people who are understanding that this may last much longer. And I think that we are mentally trying to get prepared for that, not expecting that to happen. So I think we are relating to what everybody's doing, which is I've shut off the news and I'm watching these shows because that's the only way I'm making it through this.
Yeah.
And anytime, like you have to say, who's going to take the dogs out to go 2020? I mean, you're describing something that you pick up with a trash bag and you're calling it, you got a bag full of 2020. I mean, anytime.
Another creative way not to cuss. That's fantastic.
Exactly. I 2020'd it. It becomes a verb or
Bag full of 2020. I had not heard that yet. That's great. That's great.
Fantastic.
Oh my God. Well, Melissa, you've heard some good news. You have an inspirational person, and going into, let's just talk real quick. We'll go into we have this wonderful topic we're going to tackle on the next show. We'll just to be continued of hobbies and interests and ways people are making money now that they weren't before the pandemic. That they took a hobby or an interest, something they love, and now they've turned it into cash money, either inadvertently, by accident, or on purpose. So we'll put that in for the next show. So come back for episode 4 for that one. But before we go, I want to go over the quick top 10 best jobs from Student Loan Planner that talks about 10 of the best jobs our younger kids should be thinking about maybe going into that were pandemic quarantine proof. But Melissa, we talked about this because you brought up somebody. Tell us about this woman you told us about, which brought us this topic last time.
Yes. So we were talking about, pandemic. That's what everybody's talking about. And to your point, this is an opportunity for people. I think instead of focusing on the bad, you got to focus on the good. It's the only way that you're going to make yourself feel better, because quick point, you cannot feel good and bad at the same time. So if you're feeling bad, why not switch that? And when you're feeling good, you won't feel bad anymore. But one of the heroes of the pandemic, I don't want people who sacrifice themselves for this to be forgotten. And we were talking about women in history. Well, here's a woman who I think deserves a statue, if not a place in the history books. Her name is Dr. Shirin Rohana, and I hope I'm saying her name correctly. She was an Iranian doctor, and I say was because at the beginning of this pandemic, she was treating patients. Now, she contracted COVID herself because she was short-staffed and short-supplied, but she stayed on that IV and treated patients and trained doctors until she fell to her death. She worked until the very last minute until her death, so that people would not only be treated but educated about this disease. And this is someone who perished back in April. And so I told these guys off air, I said, I have kept her picture because I purposely wanted to remember her, because my thought was, I want to be able to face death the same way she did. I want to be able to face it head on and still work until my very last moment to make the world a better place. And that's what she did. So yes, I honor her, and we'll have her link so that you can learn more about her.
We'll put a picture up, of course. Where was she? What country? Was she in Iran? She was in Iran. I wasn't sure if she's Iranian, but here in this country.
Yes.
Oh, God bless her. What a hero. Yes. And I know she's not the only one that did that, but that was kind of like the beginning. And for
it was the first one that the reason I had her is because have her pictures, the first one that I learned about right in when I was starting to panic a little bit about this pandemic.
Yeah, so it makes it real.
She helped me realize, look, Melissa, even if you meet your fate during this, I overuse the word, but during COVID, this pandemic, that there's no reason to hang your head low. You just got to look it straight in the eye and take what you get.
I'm all about living your legacy, and we don't know how long that's going to be, when the last day of it is. So every day, make it the best you can. And she just gave me such a visual that I can just picture her on her IV, walking up and down, helping other people survive it. And then she falls to her death.
And then she collapsed.
Wow. Gosh.
Well, it reminds you of the story of the bus driver in Detroit who's just doing his job.
Yes,
trying to get people to and from, and somebody gets on the bus, coughs, and short time later, because he had maybe some pre-existing conditions, he was gone.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I saw a meme that said, well, it's not funny, but I saw a meme that said, it's funny now the people we didn't want to pay $15 an hour to are the people we're counting on.
Exactly.
And
teachers.
Well, grocery store clerks,
bus drivers,
truckers. Yes, absolutely.
And because the virus knows no boundaries, right? It's not stopping at certain zip codes. It's going wherever it wants to. And that's why we have to be so, you just have to have a little bit of respect for your neighbor. I think it is what it all comes down to. Right. And appreciate what other people do. It's not, this has caused us to take the spotlight off of ourselves. If we were stuck, in the mirror, we definitely need to get out of the mirror and start paying attention to the other important components of our lives and how much they mean to us. And we missed how much we loved and how much human interaction meant to us.
Hugs, handshakes. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, and this is not a political thing. This is just honesty. We dedicate ourselves on the show to talk smartly and to talk about empowerment and to talk about moving forward. And the only way that we're finding, I think this is a great lesson, that the only way we can move forward is together in cooperation. And we've become such a fractured society that I think that this is a hard lesson that I hope everybody is learning, that look, let's put differences aside, let's work together, let's find a way to take care of each other, and then we can get out of this very quickly. We can get out of this very quickly if we decide to.
Yeah, you're right. It makes us appreciate. I mean, if we didn't appreciate teachers or grocery workers before, or just our UPS guys that come up and ladies that come up to our door, and our mail servers, our mail carriers, we do now more than ever. Now, I remember Mary Kay Ash used to tell us, she was such a great supporter of all people. And she told us years ago, she says, today, the most important person in your office is could be the person that comes up and fixes your air conditioning.
Absolutely.
She shook every hand and loved every person, because every single person, every single job you do matters. It makes a difference, whether you're changing a light bulb on a dark street, or whether you're fixing an air conditioning, or whether you're packing somebody's groceries or bringing mail to the door. Everything has just become so much more polarized. Like, wow, I appreciate that. I appreciate I appreciate Wi-Fi. I appreciate the internet.
Absolutely.
We just
my father, I will say a quick story with my father. He was a founder and a CEO of a company, and a very successful man, but he came from very humble roots. And his father, worked on a farm and, did the hard labor on a farm. So he witnessed people who worked very hard. And so I moved to Atlanta to work at Turner Broadcasting. And I had him come down to visit me at the office, and I had my suit on and my heels, and I was around. And the woman who cleaned after hours, he came after hours because we were going to go to dinner. So the janitor came and was cleaning up my trash, and we were on a first name basis, and we had a conversation. I said, I'd love for you to meet my father. And my father shook her hand. And then after we were done, my father put his hand on my shoulder and said, I'm so proud of you, because he said, you doing exactly what you should do, which is everybody is important in that office, and everybody should be on a first name basis. So I will never forget that, because he reinforced what was already instinctual for me. And that made a huge difference in my life.
Honest day's work, doesn't matter what it is. It's
That's right.
all and I think of it in the animal kingdom. I mean, the ant has a purpose just as much as the elephant, just as much as humans. We all have such animal oriented, but everybody has a purpose, and everything. If you didn't have one, like I'm so against extinction, because if one species goes extinct, even if it's like this protected lizard or earthworm, it will matter to the whole ecosystem.
Absolutely.
And you may think, oh, this is an ugly little thing. But without that, you can see the domino effect. So we have to think that about every single thing we do, because if it's an honest day's work, there is no ugly, there is no small, there is no mediocre. It's all the same. We all have a purpose and a point. Nobody's better than anyone. That's just my feeling.
And Mark, I'm sure you'd agree, but I think that, when we talk about success, it's for those who make fun of the, hippy dippy ideas that we may be, conveying, people who are selfish tend to, in the end, not be successful people. I mean, it is just, if you want to be successful, then you have to learn to include everybody. That makes you more successful. Businesses are more successful the more diverse they are. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And you got to be living with purpose these days, especially these days. The most successful man I know, my dad, taught emotionally disturbed kids from the 5 boroughs of New York City for 40 years. And I used to, he told me long after I graduated college and started working in TV, he said, I used to bring you down there so you could see what you didn't want to do. But I loved what he did.
Yeah.
On Fridays in high school, I used to put on a shirt and tie because my dad wore a shirt and tie. And so I saw that he cared about all those kids, and he let them know that he cared about them. So much so that when he passed in 2015, my mother and I got a phone call. I was at her house. We got a phone call from a young man that said my dad had taught him in the early 70s. And he read in one of the county newspapers up in New York that he had passed away, and he tracked down my mom, got her phone number, and wanted to call to say how much my dad meant to him.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I tell you what, it got me through that week, because it was a difficult week. And it let me know that he lived with purpose, and his life made a difference in the lives of other people. And I knew there were countless other students that he'd had the same effect on.
Yeah. It was funny, your dad, as parents, always think we want better for our kids. He goes, we're going to show you what you don't want to do, but you really admired what he did. Maybe I do want to do what you, Dad. But as parents, we're like, we always want better. Always thinking you can do better than me. And what they do is wonderful. And you thought that was the greatest thing on earth to do.
Yeah.
My brother does the same thing right now. My brother is working in the schools
great.
right now.
Okay.
Yes,
that's great. That's great.
Indeed.
And you help people too, Mark, because being a journalist and a news anchor, that's all about telling the stories about people that are there, that are in the inner city, and what's going on in your community. So you really are just putting the spotlight on it too, helping in a different way.
That's true.
So that's funny.
And helping people to understand, what's going on and why it matters in other places. You know, and I think that's one of the things that's missing from our media now is, you know, we used to advocate for the little guy. We used to tell those stories, but, you know, of course, cash is king and money matters.
I thought Tiger was king.
You know, yeah, right. So, you know, so we got away from that. Yeah. And that's what I missed about the business is the people.
Right.
I didn't miss the hours. I didn't miss being on TV.
Right.
You know, I missed the people people that we got to meet and the people we worked with. And
same here.
And that's
it's the people I worked with and listeners. I miss the listeners most.
Yes.
We're about to start it again, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going back out there and doing it on our own. I always say to my clients, don't wait to be hired. Create your own stages. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. So you're going to get right back out there for sure. Excited about that. And on that note, we are going to do a part 2 of this episode 3. And we're going to talk more about the hobbies and interests in making money online. But I'm going to give a quick 10 best jobs. I'm just going to rattle them off. We're going to talk about them next time so we can move on. And we have to close out this show. We all could talk all day long. We love our viewers. We love
y'all not want to be with us all the time. You don't have anything else to do. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
Exactly. They're all looking for
place to go.
You're looking for binge-worthy TV? Right here. Here you go. Well, we're going to discuss these next time because I really think it'll be important. And real fast, and I'll list them here, the 10 best jobs that the student loan officers are saying for our young kids moving up, they should consider. Number 10 is a nurse, obviously. 9 is a corporate employee. Tell you why next time. A veterinarian was number 8. Teacher was number 7. 6 is a nonprofit professional. Very interesting why. We'll go into that next time. Number 5 was a physician assistant. Good job for those students to be thinking of. Number 4 is the ever famous attorneys.
Yeah.
They're not going anywhere.
No, a few.
Number 3, doctor. Number 2, number 2 to consider is pharmacist. And then this one surprised me, and we'll talk about this the next time. Number 1, job security through this entire pandemic was government employee. They have the highest job security, and we'll tell you why next time. But the worst one, the one that got hit the worst, also, it makes sense, but I didn't think of this because I've been to mine recently, is dentist. Dentist has suffered the worst because who wants to be digging in their mouths during this time.
Exactly.
So interesting food for thought. We'll talk about more next time, but we've got to go, but we're not going to leave without giving you our not so smart part of our Smart Talk Success Talk. And we're starting with Mark Hayes. Give us your not so smart moment of the week.
Well, this one comes straight off of Facebook.
Yeah,
who knew?
You
know what I mean? People will tell you anything on Facebook if you look hard enough. So this is all about dreaming about eating. So Jenna Evans posted on her Facebook that she was having a dream that she ate her gorgeous engagement ring. Now, who would do that? Well, Jenna would. Because she woke up and she found out that she had actually swallowed the ring. And yes.
How do you sleep through that?
Pictures. No. Yes, exactly. You sleep hard. You must sleep hard and you must swallow hard. Because
she must have been dieting or really hungry to sleep through that.
You know, she's out in California. It might have been hot. You never know. But, you know, Jenna wrote about it on Facebook and now the whole world knows.
Not smart.
Now, Aurea, my calculation went to how long does it return? And
did you get it back?
And do you take it to the jeweler and say, I need it cleaned, but don't ask any questions?
We'll have to get an update on that.
So let's put one of the worst jobs of 2020.
The moral of the story is
Julie cleaner.
Exactly. Ring cleaner.
Yeah.
Yuck. Yeah. But don't go to bed hungry. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Really good moral, Mark. I don't know how you found that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, most people dream of peeing, and we won't go into that if that actually happens.
I've never heard of that. That was good, Mark. Really good.
You've never dreamt that you peed?
No, I never dreamt that I ate a diamond ring.
Okay, yes, right.
Pee, yes, diamond ring, no.
Yeah.
I'm a late sleeper. That would wake me up.
So my not so smart story has to do with the pandemic, but it's the people that would actually buy this. So the world's most expensive coronavirus mask has been announced.
Okay.
It is a gold diamond encrusted face covering, 18 karat white gold with 3,600 white and black diamonds, fitted with the N99 filters if you need that. But the price tag, $1.5 million. And it weighs a half a pound. You're gonna put that on your face. But this is out of Israel. And Israel, speaking of a jewelry company, a jewelry company, if they sell this, they'll be happy to clean that engagement ring. But they are selling this
for free.
Yeah, right now, $1.5 million. So I'm saying you're not smart if you get this, if you're so concerned about vanity that you're going to get this mask.
I just have so many questions, Melissa. I don't know where to start. One, imagine if you wore that and got corona anyway. Not smart investment. But two, does it work? I mean,
well, again, it has a filter on it, and it covers your nose and your mouth. It should work.
I can just think of so many better things to do with $1.5 million.
Yeah, and there's been a list of like the best masks out there, and what comes in second from those with the ultra filters is the regular hospital disposable mask.
99 cents.
So, exactly.
For 99 cents. Right.
I've seen the masks that are like
does
mesh.
it come with ear pads?
Well, it should come with its own car.
It should come with the plane.
The house, the plane, the spouse. It should come with everything. Right?
The worst thing, you spend your money on that, you still get corona, and then you have $1 million hospital bill on top of it.
Right.
So, if you
can afford $1 million mask, I mean, the hospital bill's not going to phase.
I know, right? Exactly. You own the hospital. You probably own the hospital if you're buying that mask.
I just can't. Oh my gosh, that's a great one. You guys find some really cool ones. I'm finding kind of ordinary ones, but they're still funny. This is a not so smart. That one just gets me, Melissa. Oh my gosh, that was bad. I was seeing crocheted ones. I was seeing netted ones. I'm like, wait a minute. It's kind of like, what's wrong with this picture?
Right.
Anyway, so speaking of masks, Melissa, you and I are on the same wavelength. I have to show two pictures though. This one is how not to wear your mask. So this one is not so smart. This guy's great. Let's put it on top of our eyes. He didn't get the memo. Must cover nose and mouth.
Smart. That ain't smart.
No, I
have no words.
You know what's even dumber? I see this happening in the grocery store. And people having it under here and under here. Just yesterday, there was a guy who had it under here in line at the grocery store. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, hello.
I have actually, and again, I love my medical professionals, but I have seen one medical professional that just had it over her mouth and did not have it over her nose in a medical facility.
They just don't get the memo.
True story.
And this next one, this guy was just trying to say, keep you from keeping your hands on your face. Here you go. This is him with the dog cone on his head like this. Then he started out just so he wouldn't touch his face. But I don't think, I don't know. Can the COVID go up and over?
The COVID goes where it wants to.
You think?
That's right. Yes.
Again, not so smart. But now I have one. I saw this. I couldn't find the picture of it, but in the very beginning, I'm going to end with this. This is how one guy actually went to the grocery store in the very beginning. Remember when we couldn't get a mask because we had to leave it for the front line? You could not get a mask anywhere, which was fine. Leave the front line. So he made his own, and I happen to have one. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Rhea. Show and tell. Show and tell. Oh, this is great. Oh my God.
True story. I saw that online. The guy was at the grocery store.
No way. Oh,
and I thought that's good. I think my puppy just happened to come back from the hospital, had one of these, like, I have one.
That's the new logo, by the way. That's the new logo for our show.
Perfect. So if you have a dog collar, there's your.
Go for it.
Wow.
Upside down or right side up. You figure it out.
Right.
Either don't touch your face or don't touch your face.
I just have one word for you, and that's Darwin.
Yep.
Getting rid of those not so smart ones.
That's
okay. Well, on that note, I hope you all wear your mask properly. It's a small thing we can do for mankind right now. And if you're watching this after 2020 is over, God bless you. It's over.
If you're an historian, watching this, right? About, those people were stupid back in 2020.
Hey, really? What were they doing back then? Gosh, I can't even imagine where we're going to be a year from now. Because Melissa, Mark, I just saw that on the news today that they're expecting maybe some kind of vaccine that possibly has some hope in June of 2021. And Melissa, as you and I are starting homeschooling this week, I thought, Well, there goes this year. So that's a whole nother.
But we're still here. We're still again,
here.
focus on the good. We're still here to complain about it. So that's a blessing.
So enjoy being alive and be able to complain.
That's
Mark and Melissa, give us a last thought for today as we close up the show. It was a fun show. Give us your last words of inspiration or something smart or something not smart for the viewers to have.
This too shall pass.
Absolutely.
Love that.
I've also learned raising a 5-year-old and doing remote learning with him that be a kindergartner again. So go to Nickelodeon, Nick Jr., go watch, read some stories, because it's amazing how the stories for kindergartners teaching about diversity and love each other and love yourself, somehow we lose that message as we get older. So be a kindergartner again and you'll get through this.
I love it. And I have a similar laugh more. Just whatever, if it means you read a funny book, you watch a funny TV show, or you go out and just do something that's fun, because laughter is a medicine. And if we just don't have fun together and laugh when everything we think about is all serious and life or death, that stress will kill you before COVID ever gets to you.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So build your immune system, stay happy, and that will help build your endorphins of keeping your body strong inside. So laugh more and watch Success Talk, Smart Talk. Hello.
That's the smartest thing you can do.
We love you guys so much. Mark and Melissa, thank you. Till next time, we're going to have a great show next time. Don't miss it. Tune in, because we're going to talk about some fun hobbies and projects that are now making people millionaires. Could be you. You could be sitting on the next best hobby or interest you have that you can take to the bank. So until next time, we will see you. This is Mark, Melissa, and Aurea signing off from Success Talk, Smart Talk. Bye.